Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen and another What's in Our Pantry pandemic edition. Now I understand a lot of people can't find flour, so it's middle to the end of April 2020, global pandemic, people are locked down, panic buying happened, no flour on the shelves. But we still need to celebrate. We still need to have little happy moments in life, and a lot of people want a cake. So I thought I would pull out a recipe from way back on the channel where I made brownies using black beans. But then I thought I don't really want to do another black bean brownie recipe. Not everybody likes chocolate brownies, and not everybody likes the flavor of black beans, so I thought I'd do something that was more like a cake than a brownie. So this recipe works on essentially the same principle as the black bean brownies. Beans are the major component of the whole recipe. And I'm using navy beans because that's what I had in my cupboard. If what you have in your cupboard are cannellini beans or pinto beans or any bean will work in this. I even think red kidney beans would work in this, and then you could put in a little bit of vinegar to keep that red brightness and have a really nice colored cake. So I've seen this cake on a number of menus around Toronto. So I put a call out to my chefy friends to see what the recipe was. They texted me back with a recipe, and if you've ever got a recipe from a chef at a restaurant and had them write it down for you, you know that it doesn't quite translate to the home kitchen. So I have made some changes both to translate it to the home kitchen and also to sort of work with what I have in my own kitchen. So in there are the beans and vanilla, and I'm going to put in maple syrup as the sweetener. This is the only sugar that's going to be in there and the only flavoring, really. Now, if you don't have maple syrup, amazing. If you don't have maple syrup, you could use pretty much any of the other liquid sugar syrups. So you could put in fancy molasses. You could put in probably sorghum. You could use golden syrup if you live in the UK. You could put in just a sort of dark corn syrup if that's what you have. Any of those would work. Honey, definitely honey. Honey would be fantastic in this. So now I'm just going to put the top on and puree. Okay, so once this gets to a fairly smooth consistency, I'm going to crack in 4 eggs, one at a time, with the machine still running. And just let it mix in, and then move on to the next one. Okay, I think we're looking good. Now, I need to get this into this bowl so that we can mix in the rest of the ingredients without having it flow over everywhere. There we go, last of the bean mixture. Now, to this I'm going to add a pinch of salt, melted butter, and I'm using butter. The recipe that came from the chef used coconut oil. So if you wanted to use coconut oil, you could. I'm not a fan of coconut oil, so I'm using butter, but you could use lard, you could use vegetable shortening, you could use just straight up oil since it goes in melted. Straight up oil would be just fine. Now, it called for almond flour. I didn't have almond flour, but I had a part container of leftover almond slivers from making Christmas cake. So I just ground those up in a food processor. I'm going to put those in and some baking powder. My understanding is you could use any nut if you don't have almonds. If you had walnuts or pecans, you could do the same thing, just grind them up and put them in. The chef also said you could use cornmeal in this if you wanted to, if you liked the texture and the flavor that cornmeal would bring to it. I think this is a fairly adaptable recipe. You could do pretty much anything you want. So I've got it all mixed together now. So I'm going to put it into a springform pan and then pop it into a fairly hot oven, 375 degrees, for about half an hour. while the cake was baking, I made a little cream cheese icing based on the tiny little piece of cream cheese that I had left. So there's cream cheese and butter, and I just mixed that together to cream it all nicely. Once those were creamed together, I added about 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And a little bit of vanilla. And continued mixing. And then continued on by just adding a little bit of icing sugar and a little bit more and a little bit more until I reached the right consistency. And then, you know, spread the icing on the cake. Okay, yeah, don't clap yet. Let's see.
Okay.
So, it's flourless. So it's made with beans.
Okay.
Which in of itself isn't a bad thing. I think you just have to.
Stop talking. Let's just taste it.
Okay.
I think you're trying to defend something that doesn't need defending yet.
Yes, it's true.
It's a cake.
Now, ooh.
I mean, it looks like a cake.
Looks really nice. This, I buttered that springform pan. And I buttered that springform pan, and it's still stuck. So, the edge was really messy. You might want to put parchment around the edge.
I don't know whether I want to scrape off the icing first, just to try the icing, or if I'm just going to dig in. It's very moist. Mm-hmm. It's very lovely. Mm-hmm. It's a very lovely, pleasant cake. It doesn't have a giant, big flavor. It's, I'm going to have another piece.
The maple's really subtle. Mm-hmm. The beans give a great texture. Mm-hmm. The only thing I would change is the recipes were for almond flour. Mm-hmm. Didn't have almond flour. I took, you know, leftover almonds from the Christmas cake, and I just whizzed them in the food processor.
So that would explain the little almond bits. Okay.
They needed to be finer.
To be flour?
To be flour. Yeah.
That's okay.
But I'm, you know. So my initial thought was, you have to pretend, it's called cake, but it's not cake. You can't come in with the expectation that you're having a cake. But this would fool me.
It would fool you, but it's not a light, fluffy white cake. It's more of a brownie coffee cake kind of cake. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not light and fluffy. It's dense and moist and rich.
It's really good.
That's a winner.
You were not expecting that, were you?
I was not expecting that. So, it does have eggs. So if you switch out the butter and use vegetable shortening or coconut oil.
It would change the flavor. Coconut oil would change the flavor.
And I have nothing against coconut oil, except I don't like it. That's it.
He doesn't like coconut at all. So for the most part,
coconut's a no-go for me.
You may have noticed we don't actually get that many things on this channel with coconut in it.
So coconut's a no-go, but coconut oil definitely would work in this if you like coconut oil. It would be fine. So, you don't need flour to make what is absolutely delicious cake.
Okay.
Thanks for stopping by. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you again soon.